On this week's episode, we're talking about corporate responsibility and even why you should give back to the community as an installer. Welcome to the show where we tackle the tough questions submitted by installers, technicians, project managers, estimators, even ICT customers and IT personnel. We are connecting at the human level so that we can connect the world. If you're watching this show on YouTube, would you mind hitting the bell button and the subscribe button to be notified when new content is being produced? If you're listening to us on one of the audio podcast platforms, would you mind giving us a 5-star rating? And if it's not a 5-star rated show, email me and let me know what I can do to make this a little bit better. Thursday night, 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. What are you doing? I do a live stream where you get to ask your favorite RCDD, that would be me, your questions about installation, design, certification, estimation, project management, even career path. And don't forget, once a month we do live QA inspections where people send their pictures and I do QA inspections virtually and tell you the good and the bad on them as well. Finally, while this show is free and will always remain free, if you like this content and you would like to support the show, make sure that you click on the QR code right there so that you can either buy me a cup of coffee. Well, technically, I don't drink coffee. I drink tea. Or you can buy me, schedule a 15-minute one-on-one call with me after hours, of course. Now, let's get on with the show. Today, I'm going to talk about corporate responsibility and why companies and individuals should really look at giving back to their communities of which they live in. And there's one company or one entity out there that I would say is the platinum standard when it comes to giving back to their community. And that company is going to be Mr. Ray Klein himself. Ray, welcome to the show. How you doing, my friend?
Hey, what's going on, Chuck? How are you?
Take three.
Take three, baby.
For those who don't know, this is the third time we've done this interview for various technical difficulties and stuff like that, but we'll get it straight. So for those who may not know you, Ray, why don't you just give us the 30-second view of who you are?
Sure. Ray Klein, I am the owner of Libertas Consulting of Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, and I am also co-founder of Teknowledge Worldwide, as you can see behind me. A technology organization that brings together like-minded businesses and individuals that want to do well, lead by example, and make the IT world a better place.
I so love that thing. You guys are all over social media, and I see all the good stuff you're doing. And that's why when I started down this whole series of how we can make our communities better, whether companies or individuals, I was like, you got to be the first one. I got other shows coming up too, but you were the first one. So let me ask you, what social responsibilities do corporations have to their communities?
Oof, that's a loaded question. So, I guess I would say, from my standpoint, giving back to a community is paramount, right? We're fortunate, right? At the end of the day, we're fortunate enough to be able to work in an industry that we love and be able to do the things that we love. And 90% of the time, it's because of the community that you're in that gave that to you. I feel as though, it's our job to give back to a community so that the generations underneath of us and the generations that are coming up have the same, opportunities that we do. In fact, have better opportunities than we do. So I don't know. It's ingrained in my DNA, and we can talk about that in a little bit as to why that is the way that is. But in my opinion, giving back to your community is really one of the best ways to grow your business, quite frankly.
No, I agree with that 100%. And we'll cover that here in a minute. So talking about corporate social responsibility, what are some ways that some companies can give back to the communities that they reside in?
Yeah, I mean, so it's simple, right? Like a lot of companies really think, it's money. It's giving, equipment, giving donations and things like that. And it's that. It is that. It absolutely is. Money is king, right? Cash is king. But you can do simple things like volunteering at a local food pantry, volunteering at a soup kitchen, volunteering in a local church, doing, getting involved with local sports teams, getting involved with your local chambers of commerces to, know and learn and meet other business owners. It's those simple things that really don't have a money amount tied to it that allows you to get to know other business owners in your area so that, when somebody's looking for an electrician, an IT company, plumber, HVAC, whatever it may be, they're going, well, hey, that guy Ray that I know really well from the food pantry, or that guy Ray that I know from the chamber, he owns an IT company. Let me see if this is something that he can help with us. Now that now that people are knowing me as a person, they're not going to go and do that research online and be like, well, let me try to find a local IT company. They're like, I know that guy Ray. I trust that guy Ray already. Let me talk to him first. And if it's not something he can do, I know him well enough to know that he's going to tell me different. So that's key. I mean, that's important.
You hit the nail right on the head. I couldn't have said it better myself. Giving money does make an impact, but it lacks that personal touch. It's kind of like Christmas time, right? If you give somebody a gift card or you actually go buy them a present. When you buy them a present, then the person knows you know them, right? And there's a connection, and making that network connection is going to help you. The biggest hurdle, especially for new people, new business owners, is climbing that wall that the customer builds because they don't trust you, because they don't know you yet. Well, you've already broken down that wall if you're giving corporate responsibility and somebody recommends you because, hey, we know them because of this volunteer work. That wall's not even there. That makes your job even a little bit easier, right? It just absolutely does.
It's the best marketing platform in the world, and it doesn't cost you a dime. It costs you time, which, don't get me wrong, there's a value to that. But
right.
you're doing something positive, and now people are getting to know you as a person, not you as the business owner. It's people buy from people that they trust and they like. People don't buy from people they don't know, period.
Well, sometimes they do, but the greater chances they're going to buy from somebody they know. Correct. They're going to go to somebody they know first, because sometimes they may send out a bid to, and they may not know anybody, but if they know you already, you got one up on the competition, and that's key, especially for people who are just starting off in with a new business or something, right? So you, as I said in the intro, you are setting the platinum standard for low voltage companies to follow. I mean, one of the best out there, making the most impact in their community. Tell us, what are some of the ways that your company achieves this?
So my company, Libertas, personally, I was on the board of a local chamber of commerce for the last 5+ years, and that allowed me to do really good things in the community. One of those things is we give away 3 sponsorships every year to local high schools, and one of them is a tech college. So, for me, being able to know that we're giving a scholarship to a tech school means the world to me. So no, that's one way. I can tell you another story of the one thing that we do every year that is the biggest thing that we do every year is I dress up as Santa Claus for my mother's school. And every year that project has gotten bigger and bigger and bigger. The story is this. When I was in grade school, I went to Catholic school for, my entire pre-K through high school life. And my mom currently is still a preschool teacher. And, I said to her 5+ years ago, I said, hey, Mom, do you remember when we were kids, Santa Claus would come to school? And Chuck, I don't know if you had this stuff when you were kids, but like St. Nicholas Day, you'd leave your shoe out. And, St. Nicholas would fill your shoe. And, later on that day, we might get a glimpse of Santa Claus, right? And I said, Mom, do you remember that? And she goes, yeah. And I said, why don't I come to your class, pre-K, and just give them a sense of Christmas? Because my mom teaches in inner city Philadelphia, not the best neighborhood. The kids don't have the best Christmases. So I said to her, I was like, why don't I come down? I'll read them a story as Santa Claus. And, she cleared it with the school. The school loved the idea. I came in that year with the guise of, well, if I'm coming, I'm going to reach out to some local business owners and see if maybe they want to sponsor Santa. And I think that first year we raised $1,500. Not a ton of money. Wasn't, a big deal. But it was $1,500, right? $1,500 to a Catholic school in Center City, Philadelphia. It means tuition breaks. It means meals. It means uniforms. It can do some good. Fast forward now, we've been doing this for 5, 6, 7 years at this point. I don't even know how long we've been doing it. And this year we raised $25,000. So just building that momentum and constantly reaching out and pinging people and showing pictures of years past and, getting out there and saying, why don't you be a part of this? It has grown. Like I've got elves now that go with me every year. We actually have a really wonderful woman who joined us this year. She's actually a professional speaker, a motivational speaker, and a professional dancer. And I don't know that she'd be happy if I said her name on air, but you can find her in all of my Santa posts, because she's very humble and she's an amazing woman. And with her help this year, because she joined the pledge and she sponsored matched.
Oh,
And
nice.
that's how we got to the $25,000 number this year. So it's things like that put the idea in the head of giving back, right? Like what says more of giving back and giving of themselves than Santa Claus?
Right. So two things. First and foremost, yes, Virginia, there really is a Santa Claus.
There is.
There's a throwback for you for us old boomers. For some people may realize where that quote comes from, some may not. But
Yep.
I want to take a step back to your donations to the local tech college, because that kind of piques my interest.
Sure.
So since you're doing that, are you finding that they're welcoming that with open arms? I mean, are young people excited and getting into the IT industry or the ICT industry?
They are. You know what? It's really interesting. I went to a tech school and I loved it because I, at a very young age, knew this is what I was good at. This is what I want to do. And that leads to a whole other conversation that we've got to get into at some point. Like, college is not the only way to go about things. There are trade schools. There are, you got electricians coming out of trade school making $100,000 a year. And you've got people that go to school to be doctors that spend 12, 15 years in school, not making $100,000 a year and coming out of school with $500,000 in debt. Like there is like, we've got to get past that college is the only way to do things thing. I digress.
Oh, no. I agree 100%. And you, me, and Mike Rowe are all on the same page for that. There
Yep.
are some people that I want to have that college degree. The engineer
Agreed.
who's designing that bridge, the brain surgeon who's working on my brain tumor. But it's not the only way. You and I are 100% in lockstep on that one.
Yep. I mean, college is important. Don't get me wrong. Schooling is incredibly important, especially when you've got those high level skill sets that you need, especially when you're not sure when you go to college, you don't know what you want to be. College gives you that very well rounded experience to allow you to figure out who you want to be. But if you already know in your heart of heart that you want to be an electrician, you want to be a low voltage technician, you want to be an HVAC, you want to be a plumber, there is no reason for you to spend 4 years in college. There's a lot of programs out there that you can get your certificate in anywhere between 16 months to 2 years. And you can be out in the workforce making a really good salary and moving on with your career. But anyway, the tech school was the question.
Yep.
We're finding that there are a lot of really interested people that are leaving high school and going straight to these tech schools in these tech colleges. And I love the program that they're doing here because they're immediately putting you in the field with business owners like myself. I like that hands-on learning experience, and I like the ability for somebody coming straight out of high school to get that immediate, like, working relationship with local businesses. It's huge because no matter what we learn in a book, hands-on experience is going to trump that all day, every day. There's only so many words and acronyms that you can memorize, especially in our fields. Everything is an acronym. Um, there's only so much of that you can learn until you physically put your hands on a piece of cable or a piece of equipment and you start programming things and you break things. Breaking things is the biggest learning that you can do. Break some stuff, man. Break some eggs. It's the way to do it.
Absolutely. The thing I want, my mind just pulled a blank on me. Hold on a second. Let me retract here.
Well, Chuck, that's why you should have coffee. I mean, I know you're not a coffee guy, but I'm on cup number maybe 3 at this point.
I don't like the taste of coffee. I never have.
We're gonna have to get you some better coffee then.
I've tried all different kinds. My wife drinks Cafe Bustelo.
Okay.
And my dad, one time when he was young, tried to get me to drink a cup of coffee. I don't even like the smell of coffee. It turns my stomach.
Okay.
As a matter of fact, I was telling my wife yesterday because I got one of these. It's actually a coffee French press. So you put the stuff in it, you put the water in, and then you slide the piece down. But I use it for tea instead of coffee. And I think my wife switched my press with hers because when I was drinking the tea, I was like, I asked her, "Did you switch? Because this tastes like coffee. Not
Uh-oh.
not a lot. It's got a faint taste." And she goes, "No, no, no, no." I'm like, "Yeah, no. I have an aversion to coffee for some reason.
Okay.
I just
Fair enough.
do."
Fair enough. Fair enough.
But I'm glad here because a lot of young people, they're like, well, I want to be a content producer, or I want to do whatever. And hey, those are viable avenues. Don't get me wrong. And but a lot of people, men and women, are they like working with their hands. That's why I love when you said, the knowledge portion only gets you. I did a post a while ago. Knowledge plus experience equals wisdom, right? Because knowledge is great, right? Doing things and messing it up is the best teacher of all. And we are tactile learners who people are attracted to this industry. We learn by putting, our hands on a punch tool, by stripping cable. We are tactile. I don't know why I have stuff sitting on my desk. I just do.
Are you kidding me? I got tools everywhere.
Yeah. We are tactile learners. And that's the greatest way. That's why virtual classes have a place, but in this industry, face-to-face, putting category rated cable and fiber cable in somebody's hand and having terminate is way more efficient.
I would agree 100%.
Yep. So getting back to our thing. So you've been doing all these great things for your community, right? How has it bolstered your company's reputation?
I kind of hinted at it earlier. I've got to meet such amazing local and, even more than local people by being a part of the organizations that I'm a part of. I'm no longer like, I stopped being Libertas Consulting years ago. I'm just Ray Klein, the IT guy, and people know me as Ray's the guy we can call on to get stuff done. And I think that's amazing. Like, so, my reputation of being the guy that is, involved in the 100 things that I'm involved in is the guy that gets called on to do all of these wonderful and amazing things. And that's why my company exists. It's not because I'm the best salesman. I'm not. I'm horrific at it. In fact, I give way too much crap away because I just want to help people. But at the end of the day, I'm getting the business that I'm getting because people trust me and they trust that, this brand that I've created. When they see that, and they see that at local restaurants, bars, establishments, because we put this logo on everything. They recognize that symbol. It's just like Nike. It's just like that Adidas symbol, right? Now they recognize, okay, we know who did that because we know the guy who wears that logo everywhere. And, I think that's important. It's getting to know your customers on a different level than simply being the guy that sends them a bill every month. That's important.
Right. I agree with that 100%. Let me ask you this. So
Sure.
all this corporate responsibility that you're engaging in and making the community better and stuff. Have you found that this is inspiring your employees to a new level to give back to the communities?
I absolutely think it does. I mean, so let's talk Teknowledge for a moment here. Teknowledge was started by 4 individuals in the low voltage community. So I'm going to mention their names. So Marco Chaffee at Enterprise CC. Brandon Weber of TSCIT does all the podcasts with me, and then everybody knows Pierce Smithwick of All Green Lights. So
If you're on Instagram or TikTok, you know who he is.
Yep. We jokingly call him the godfather of our community, but everybody else calls him the GOAT, right? I mean, he is, honest to God, one of the greatest of all time in this industry. And, he is the most humble human being on the planet. And he gives back more than anybody else I've ever met. Whether that's giving back to his local community, giving back to others in our community. Like, Pierce is the reason why I have some of the tools that I have and why I use some of the products that I use, because I saw Pierce do it. And I know that that's the way that so many other people have gotten into our communities, because like, we saw what Pierce does. We see what All Green Lights does. And they want to be a part of this. So I mentioned that because this community was founded on giving back, right? Yes, we are a group of businesses like the ones that I just mentioned, but our focus is making everyone else better and teaching others while elevating like the industry, right? Like that whole concept has rolled into we're doing our very first own trade show. I'm not sorry, not trade show, but we're doing our very first like technology conference in April, and we're calling it Tech Fest. And the reason I mention that is because that entire conference was built around we did a charity project last year of all of these people from around the country. We had 40 plus people from around the country came in to give back to a local church. We gave them cameras, card access, wireless, a whole network, completely free of charge. The reason Tech Fest was built was because one of the guys, his name is Mick. He owns a company called Trican Solutions. He was building an access panel for this, and every reason started hovering around them, started teaching them like, hey, this is why you wire the board this way. This is why you do the things this way. And Brandon had this aha moment. He's like, we need to build a conference around this. And we started talking. So we want to integrate all facets of technology. How does the access panel work with the network? How does the wireless network work with the access control? How do the cameras work within the network? Because all of it, while different parts of technology, they all touch. That is amazing. And I think what this TKW has sparked to actually answer your question, I gave you all that background and I'm sorry.
Mhm.
That actually sparked the whole movement of giving back. So now we've got guys in our community that literally we had one guy on our call last week. You were on our call last week that said, I have started reaching out to my local competitors just to see how they're doing. I've reached out to local competitors to see, hey, can I help you on a job? Can I come see what you're doing? And he's like, I'm now getting more business by communicating with my competitors and talking with my peers in my local community. He goes, because this community over competition thing is real and it is sparking people to do things that they would never do before. It is sparking businesses. Like our entire Tech Fest is competitors. Like if you look at
Yep.
the list of vendors that are
Yep.
coming, we wanted it to be small. We've only got 20 vendors coming on purpose. They're competitors with each other, but they understand what we're doing. They understand that, hey, this product is great for this. This product is great for that. But we don't have a product in our product line that does what you're looking for. That company over there does. So why don't you talk to them? And if they don't have what you need, come back to us. And it's that whole mindset that
Mhm.
is sparking people to do things and to work together in different ways that they've never done before. My employee, Sean, who's sitting behind me behind the screen that you don't see, he's coming to Tech Fest. Now, and he's not coming to Tech Fest as a Libertas employee. He's coming to Tech Fest as a member of Teknowledge Worldwide because he wants to be a part of that. He's been a part of every project that I've done the last 3 or 4 years. His family has been a part of that project. I've got, Trish, who's also part of Teknowledge Worldwide, is come to all of my local projects too, because it's that whole sense of giving that it snowballs.
Yep.
And there goes Sean. He just left. He's tired of hearing about himself, so he left me. But yeah, I mean, your original question was, does it seem to spark that sense? Yes, it really does. I mean, seeing the Santa, right, has
Mhm.
sparked. I
Absolutely.
now have 10 people helping me with that project. Seeing Teknowledge, now I've got 40 plus guys from around the country that are coming to help a church they know nothing about. And now we're doing a tech fest where they're all getting to spend more time together and learn from each other. It
When is the
100%.
Tech Fest?
April 29th. I think it's April 29th and April 30th. I feel like I should know this. I know it's the last weekend in April. But it's down in South Carolina at Cable and Connections headquarters. And it's exciting, man. Check out techfest.org and
Are
check
you
out all the
limiting the
details.
number of people who can attend that?
We are not. We were only limiting the number of vendors because we didn't want to make it about the vendors. We wanted to make it about the community. And we wanted the community to be able to meet face to face with the vendors that we've handpicked. and get to know their products. Perfect example for that is Hammond Manufacturing. They make a lot of our network racks, and they're coming because one, they've been a big supporter of our community, and two, they asked our community a couple months back, what do you guys like about our rack? You guys use it in and out of the field. We made some critiques to it, and we said, look, we'd really love it if you did this. We really love it if you would do that. Those changes are already implemented into the manufacturing process. It's things like that that when we've got, our vendors and our partners that work with us that literally come to us saying, how do we make this product better? And then actually implement that change. Like, that's huge.
Yeah,
And
that's the synergy if you actually have a communication path with your
yep,
suppliers and your manufacturers, because you end up with a better product and ends with more satisfied customers. I mean, that's a win-win-win.
yep. And it's so, I don't want to say it's earth shattering, but it's such a different way of thinking that when we put out the feelers to the partners that we wanted at this event, we signed up 20 in less than a week. We had
Wow.
20 partners that said, we want to be there. Here's a check. Like, we want to be there. We want to sponsor your event. We will be there. And it's unheard of. I mean, obviously you're part of a much larger organization and selling out, a Bixie show.
Hmm.
It's not hard to do, right? Because you guys have been around. You are the standard for what we try to be. You guys can sell out that arena pretty quickly, right?
Hmm.
But for us as a community that's only a year old, to reach out to our partners that see what we're doing and saying, hey, we're doing this for the very first time. Do you want in? They're like, where do I sign? And it wasn't even a question anymore. It was just like, we're there.
Right. So
So
I just want to clarify something first, so people, there's no misunderstanding. I'm not Bixie. I'm an RCDD and a tech, but I'm not an employee of Bixie. And I heard yesterday there's a show comes out I think bi-weekly on Tuesdays, I think, called Tech Talk with Steve from AEM Test Measurement. And he
yep.
interviewed Carol Everett Oliver, the current Bixie president. And they were just waxing poetic about the first conferences. And she said the first conference, if I remember correctly, that they had 114 attendees, the
Okay.
first conference. So, you're right where they are. So who knows? 50 years down the road, maybe you might have 4,000 people showing up as well too. I mean, everybody starts small.
Yeah, agreed. And I think what we're doing is, I don't anticipate us ever being that level. I don't even know that I want us to be that big, to be honest.
Hmm. Hmm.
But I'm not going to be around forever. The next leader of this community may want to go that big. So we're laying the groundwork for this community to do all of these wonderful, amazing things. And the only reason I mentioned Bixie was why I wanted to congratulate you, of course.
Oh,
So,
thank you.
I
Thank you.
tied that in, man. So tell us
Uh,
about that, for the people that haven't heard yet. You
yeah,
got to talk
I'm a
about it.
humble person. I generally don't bring that up, but
Yeah, but I did. So it's
yeah,
okay.
you did. You did. So yes, I got awarded the David K. Blythe Award for Outstanding Member of the Year for contributions I make to the community for the last year. It's funny how my overnight success is really 2.5 years long.
Yeah.
But yeah, the podcast. It's all about educate, encourage, and enrich, and I'm doing it for that reason, for the same reason you're doing, to make your community better, right? And
Yep.
just I want to leave the industry a little bit better than the way I found it. And I've to me, I'm being paid back in not necessarily money, but I'm being paid back in the people that say, "Hey Chuck, because of your episode here, I've decided I'm going to pursue my RCDD." Or, "Chuck, can you give me tips on a study plan for an RCDD?" Or, "Chuck, I'm having problems with this." When I went to the Bixie show, I'd never done this before, but because of the podcast, I did it this time. I awarded I picked 3 products that I really liked: a gold, no, a silver, gold, and a platinum. And the silver one was Invent. People know them as Caddy. They came out with these 2 connectors. Everybody's put in Unistrut, right?
Yep.
And those little spring things that go inside that you screw into. Those things are a pain in the neck. That you
Yep.
bump them, they fall out. They came out with this lock-on connector, another one that you kind of sit in place. Holds like 750 pounds, snaps in place. Now you have to worry about falling out. So I awarded him the silver. I've already had like 2 people reach out to me, say, "Chuck, what's the part number for that?" And so I sent him, said, you need to go talk to this guy because he's the guy who works for Invent. And that's what I'm saying. The fact that I can make their job a little bit easier, that's money in the bank as far as I'm concerned.
I agree.
That makes it. It's all about the community. That's, I am creating community, although you don't hear me say that I'm trying to create a community, but I am. And it's just again, make everybody a little bit better, at the end game. So let me ask you this question. If you could turn back the clocks of time to a young 18-year-old Ray Klein coming out of high school, what would you tell yourself?
Other than stay skinny and stay young.
Good luck with that one. I haven't figured that one out yet.
Me neither. It's never settle. Truth be told, it's never settle. I told you this story before, but I'll keep it much shorter this time. I promise for all the listeners, I talk too much. I get it. But I'm excited. When I was young and I was already offered a job, and when I was in tech school, I was already offered a job. I was an IT director for a senior living company based out of New York. So 18, 19-year-old Ray was already offered a job in New York City. I couldn't turn that down, right? I was already consulting. I had already had a few clients. But when you're 18 years old and somebody offers you the money that they offered me and an apartment in New York City, you're like, yeah, I'm taking it, right? And, fast forward, that company got sold. I lost my job. So I went back to consulting. Another company wanted to hire me that I was consulting for. And I'm like, okay, they threw a bunch of money at me. Again, I settled, right? I took the job. They got sold. Then I went back to consulting again. This happened 3 or 4 times. And I started beginning to think that I was the reason why these companies kept getting sold. But I kept working for
Ray
companies.
Klein, the company destroyer.
I know, my God. Like, I watched so many of my friends lose their jobs. It was tough. But I would always go back to consulting, right? And then the last company that I worked at, 10 years ago at this point, maybe a little bit less than 10 years ago, I realized how much one, I hated the industry, and two, I hated the guy that I worked for. He was just an awful human being. And I'm like, I'm done. I can't do this anymore. They did not close. I just left. But they were my first consulting agreement. I left that company basically stating, you guys are going to continue paying me what you're paying me, but I'm not going to be here anymore. I'm going to train your new IT director. I'll teach them how to do this job well so that you continue to succeed, but we can't work together anymore. And it worked. And I went back to consulting. And I've been doing that ever since. So I would say don't settle, because at the end of the day, like, I wish when I was 18 years old, when I started consulting, that I didn't settle for a job. I didn't get excited by the bright, shiny lights, because, I now had to restart over, between 5 and 10 years ago, building that business. If I would have done that when I was 18, I could tell you I'd be on a yacht somewhere. You and I would be having this conversation via ocean. I can only imagine, right? But
Right.
I settled. So I tell you, if there's something that you love and there's something you're good at, just do it. Go full on head, steam on through a brick wall. Just do it. Don't settle.
Right. That's great advice. Great advice. Now, those who know me know I'm a foodie. And let's admit it, there's a lot of great food across the country, but the Northeast is the mecca for good food. I had Anthony on from Wise Components because he knew I was in New Jersey on a trip once last year. And he said, "Oh, you got to go by this place." And I'll tell you what, the best sandwich I ever had. Oh my gosh. And you said you're from Philly. You know what question's coming at you now. Where's the best Philly cheesesteak?
Well, I can tell you where it's not. So the tourist traps, and I won't mention their names, but they're catty corner to each other, and everybody knows them. They symbolize Philadelphia. They're horrific. Don't even waste your time. They're tourist traps. Find a local mom and pop shop. They're going to be a million times better. It's funny. We had a guy, his name's Kyle. He's out of California, came to work with us in January. We had like 6 guys from TKW doing a project together. And him being from California, he goes, I'm only going to eat cheesesteaks while I'm here. He was here for 3 days, had 6 cheesesteaks. Now, I will tell you, the guy is in shape. The guy is, he's got a great attitude. He's a great guy. He's a The guy had abs when he got here. I don't know that he still has them because he had 6 of them in a 3-day period.
I
But he
gained 3
actually,
pounds just hearing that he ate 6 of them.
yep, but he labeled them, and the top ones were local places. Like, I took him to those tourist traps, but I also got him local ones. He loved the local ones more than he loved the big tourist traps.
Yes.
So, find somebody like me if you're in town and just say, "Hey, where exactly should I go?" We'll point you in the right place.
That's a great advice, because every time I teach class when I'm traveling the country teaching, I can eat at Applebee's here,
Yep.
right? It's Applebee's gonna be the same in Seattle, Washington, as it is in Tampa, Florida. So whenever I teach a class, I always ask the students, what's the greatest local place I can go eat at? And it's funny you mentioned it, because when I was on another trip, because I go to New Jersey like twice a year. When I was in New Jersey, I went to a little mom and pop sub shop. I was driving between two cities, and I saw it, and I stopped. I went in and ordered a sub, and they said, "Well, what size do you want?" And I normally get a large. Not thinking, I'm thinking Subway large. No, their large was like, I don't know, 7 feet. It took me 3 days to eat the thing. And I'll tell
Yep.
you what, it was one of the best subs I ever had. It really truly is. So,
Yeah, that's awesome. I think they call them holes, right? Is that what they call them? Like,
yeah, my memory's not good enough to remember what they called it. He
yeah.
just said, yeah, I just said, I don't want the one cut in half. I want the full one.
Yeah,
You know,
so I've learned, and I'm like, if I'm going to a place where I don't understand what it is, I'm like, I want the one that's a foot long, or like, yeah, that's the one that I want. Go with that. Otherwise, you may end up with a 2-3 foot hoagie, is what we call them here. But yeah,
yeah, exactly,
or
exactly,
sub. But yeah,
exactly. So I'm looking at my calendar. I can't guarantee if my dog's wanting to get in the shot now. I can't guarantee if I will be there or not. It really depends on my day job and my travel schedule. But I'm trying to get. I may not be there for Friday, but I'm going to try to be there for Saturday. But don't hold me to it yet until I know my schedule in stone a little bit better. But I definitely want to go there because it sounds interesting. The Tech Fest really piques my interest. Really piques my
it's
interest.
it's going to be a lot of fun. So on top of our vendors, obviously we've got some speakers. Pierce is going to give a talk about how he builds his racks, which I think is really interesting. We got another guy, his name's Jeremy. He's giving a talk on tools, and the talk on tools I'm really looking forward to. So he's got a really cool, interesting story. So Jeremy just had his van broken into, unfortunately, and the
Mm,
story is amazing. He lost almost 100. Actually, he lost over $100,000 worth of tools
wow.
and product when his van was broken into. And one of the really cool things, it's terrible, but one of the really cool things that came from it is this community, TKW, as well as the internet community as a whole, all like rose up. People started mailing him tools, mailing him product.
Nice.
But the
Nice.
talk that he's going to give is, one, it's a little bit about that story. But two, it's also, you're a tech starting out. What are the 10 tools that you need to be successful at your job day one? So that's going to be a really good talk. We have our Canadian Rob. He owns a company called Redefined Solutions. He's coming down to talk about all things network infrastructure. You know, what's the difference between this type of fiber versus this type of fiber, right?
Right.
What's the difference between a Cat 6 cable and a Cat 6A cable? It's not, classes that are expert subject matters on one thing. It's going to be very general, broad topics, but that are specific to a talk. Because we know we're going to have some new people that are new to the industry, but we also know that we're going to have these seasoned veterans that are there. So we want to
Right.
make sure that these talks, engage everyone. Justin Colantonio is a business owner locally. Total Technology Resources is what his company's called. And he's an MSP in my backyard. So in essence, Justin is my competitor. But again, in the sense of community over competition, we're not competitors. He and I could work back and forth to each other. But he's coming down because he's a security expert. He's giving a talk on cybersecurity. And I'm giving a talk as well on building a business and how to build that recurring, monthly revenue. So they're just some of the topics that we have confirmed. So we've got those. We've got vendor demonstrations that we've got
Mhm.
coming up. We've got some skills challenges, which are going to be fun. Who can terminate a jack the quickest? Who can terminate fiber the quickest
Right.
successfully? It's
Right.
not about doing it quick. It's about doing it right and quick.
Right.
And then obviously some product feedback, hey, I have this tool. How can I make this tool better? There's so much of that that's happening, as well as fun, right? We're going to have fun. We're a group of guys getting together. Um, there's going to be fun for family. There's going to be, games. We're going to have live music. We've got food trucks coming.
Oh,
It's
nice.
going to be so much fun. How else can you have fun without having all this stuff coming together? I mean, there's no better way.
No, absolutely, absolutely. And like I said, I definitely want to try to come to that. Just it really depends on my daytime job schedule, and that they're the dictator of a lot of things. And South Carolina is close to me, but it's still probably about a 10-hour drive from
Oof.
where I live. And I think if I remember right, you guys said you were like an hour and a half from the nearest from the biggest airport and stuff. But that's not the only training thing that you guys do. I was on one of your live streams. I think was it Instagram. I think, and I got on it because you guys were talking security, and that's one of my weak areas.
Yep.
So you guys do that. You do that. What was it? Once a week? Once every other week?
So we're trying to do it like every other week, once a week. And Mick, I mentioned him earlier. He actually is kind of leading that charge. So we do these Instagram lives Thursday nights is what we've been doing them. Right after your show, actually.
That's how I find it, because I'm usually downloading the episode from mine, and my phone pops up and says you guys are live.
Yep, and it's basically a talk. We've got some really good guys that get on there. Mick is on there leading it. Chris Uncle Bear, he's on there. Jeff Better Day Technologies, Michael Miller from TWG Security. Like, these guys are experts in security access control. And they get on Instagram Live every other week and just talk shop. That's it. They're talking shop about, hey, this is the access control system we're using. This is the camera system we're using. This is why you should not use some of these products that have just been banned. Like, these are topics that come up every week. And these guys are just answering questions live for about an hour. Sometimes it goes a little long, but it's a good time.
Do you only talk security, or do you talk all things low voltage?
So that particular call is they try to keep that on access control, security, etc. But we're working on doing other ones. We've done other ones where we're talking all things technology. TKW is not just a low voltage company. There's a ton of guys that are low voltage in our group, but we're a technology company. So all facets of tech are in our community. So we want to make sure that we are representing all of those different facets for everyone.
Very cool. Ray, it's absolute pleasure talking to you for the third time. And it looks like everything's working just fine and dandy. It's recording fine. No ticking in the microphones. This actually might get published. Yes.
Yay. Hooray. That's awesome. No, it's
just goes to show you, being a content creator is not a walk in the park sometimes.
No, it's not an easy job. That's for sure.
Yes. So I appreciate everything you're doing for your community. And I'm thinking we might have to have you back on again in the future.
I'd love to be here, and we'll have you on ours.
All you just give me an invite, because like you, I have no problems waxing poetic if you haven't figured that out yet.
Yep. I like it.
So I hope you like this first episode of a multi-part series of where and how you can give back to your community. And evidently Harley wants to say goodbye too. So until next time, knowledge is power.
That's it for this episode of today's podcast. We hope you were able to learn something. Make sure to subscribe so you don't miss out on future content. Also, leave a rating so we can help even more people learn about telecommunications. Until next time, be safe.